小孩，或几个亲子这个一起共舞，所以他们是从小开始来开启主要就是听歌之类的让来轻松嘛，也就是我们在这里唱一首轻轻歌的时候，轻松了之后回到台前来敬礼，这样的事情才会因为我妈妈感谢这样就是唱这首轻松歌，轻轻的。
先报告一下那么仁波切呢，我们最后的这一个圆满的段落是4点到6点钟。那么仁波切呢会先做一个开示，圆满的开示，然后呢各位的题目单就会开始提问。那么在开示的时候，早上跟大家报告过就是仁波切很慈悲，准备了108颗的水晶念珠跟这个手珠，水晶的手珠那么目前都在坛城上做2天的加持。那么等一下我们为了让时间很就是可以把握这个仁波切，给仁波切更多的时间，所以等一下呢，仁波切在做开示的时候，我们就会有应该是巴美喇嘛我们大西的敬爱的喇嘛们，他们就会拿着这个结缘的这个志工的礼物那么他们都是仁波切的化身，所以他们会走到就是静静的走到各位那边去发送给大家，这样我们因为1000多人，我们就可以利用这个仁波切开示的时间，不但我们可以听得到仁波切开示，我们也可以得到这么殊胜的一个水晶念珠这个是1套的水晶念珠，所以跟大家报告一下，因为等一下他们下去的时候，那么大家要知道到底在做什么事情那么到了5点20的时候呢，我们就会回向长寿祈请文那么志工会上台领结缘仁波切特别为志工准备的礼物那么最后呢，我们会大家跟仁波切一起合照非常殊胜的合照。那我们希望在6点钟的时候能够圆满这2天的闭关以上报告。
Namo Sadhana Ahadebe Sanyasa Vedebe Namo Avalokitesvara 是这个讲这个人，是个这个讲这个人控制，是吧？这人没，这这个是个人，我这样，那对，这玩意咋的咋的，不拉咋的。故事没故事嘛，往日没，这做那阿妈那也说。
What's the difference between receiving and Nyen-ne vows or not? So first of all, you need to have an aspiration to take the vow and a wish to really keep that vow. So once you have the wish to keep the vow, you have received the vow. But if you're not so sure if you have received the vow, there still is a blessing. But when there is a mind of commitment that thinks that I need to keep this vow, then this awareness is really what makes you receive the vow.
再来就是要有护戒的心，这两个加在一起的话，就是真正的有戒。如果说你是没有什么样的感觉，只是到底自己有没有得戒也不清楚的话，那么当时还是会有，因为你心理上想着我应该是得戒，对，我应该要守戒，我应该要遵循这样子同样的学术，这样的话当然会有加持的。所以主要是自己要有护戒心，当然在护戒心之前是要有得戒的。
keep silence. If you have an opportunity to keep silence, then you keep silence. Like the other couple days, for example, if you don't have the opportunity, you can just keep the vow of silence for a short time, for however much time you have. But if you're really practicing in Nyen-ne, then you're actually staying in a certain place to do the retreat, and then you would observe silence. Buddha said if you only take a single vow, it's of great benefit. But if you just take one single vow, and you practice the ritual, the sadhana, then should you just recite this section, this particular vow that you're keeping. For example, of the 8 Mahayana vows, if you only take a single one, then you have to recite the whole vow section or just this one vow that you are taking, and then you skip the rest. So you just in your mind think that this is the one that I commit to, and the others you keep as much as you can, like for 1 hour or for 1 day, for however long you can keep it. The more you can keep it, the more the benefit, and the more vows you keep, the greater the benefit. We take the Nyen-ne vows. So are we allowed to drink like soy milk or something like that? It's okay to drink something, but actually there's a lot of difficulty, dispute about, for example, perfumes and things. So we have 8 different vows, and these are the Buddha's words. But if we transgress these, then that is a fault. But however many, for example, if you're wearing like jewelries and so forth and perfume, then your mind goes there and you wonder how you look and so on. And so the Buddha had taught that you should have little desire and contentment, but of course you can drink something like that. It's more about where your mind goes, your attention goes. You're not supposed to eat after midday.
So what about drinking? Can we drink like honey, milk, or coffee and things like that? So the reason why we only eat once a day, actually when you eat in the evening, it creates a lot of illnesses. There's a lot of faults in that actually. So if you don't sleep so much, if you don't eat so much, you won't sleep so much, and you will your mind is more clear, and also it is good for your body. That's why the Buddha taught it. Of course, it depends on your physical state. If you're sick and for some health reasons you need to eat drink certain things, then you can do it. And if not, if you really want to drink those things, it's also okay actually.
应该要晓得过午不食，它主要避免或者是禁止的对象是指食物。因为如果过午之后再进食过量的话，对身体会造成危害，对于自己的精神状况也会产生影响。所以如果能够减少午后的进食量的话，对于自己的心智清明会有帮助，也可以避免一些疾病。那么刚刚所谈到像这些蜂蜜水等等，如果它对于身体没有什么大害的话，这个是可以。但是尤其是对于那些病人来说，如果它是有必要的话，是可以采取的。
After we have taken the Nyen-ne vows, and what if we break the vow, then what do we have to do? Then you confess, and in the evening. So you regret, and then you commit to not again repeat those mistakes. So immediately recognize that was a mistake. Actually, the biggest transgression is anger. Whenever you get angry, instantly you should recognize that the anger is not a good thing, and you confess it as it arises immediately. And so what really needs to be confessed when we talk about purification is to recognize the faults and the afflictive emotions, in particular anger, and then to have a commitment to not again repeat those actions later on. Throughout the 6 times of day and night, throughout the 3 times of the day and 3 times of the night, at all times we have to confess. In one lifetime, how many Nyen-ne vows can you take? How often can you take those vows? So it depends. The bodhicitta, for example, we take the Mahayana Sochang because it's based on bodhicitta. We take it from now onward until enlightenment. At least in the Nyen-ne, you can take them for one single day, for 24 hours. It really depends on your aspiration. And every day you can actually take this vow and purify and restore. But actually, since it is based on bodhicitta, you can do it until enlightenment. And so the Jebong Geshe in his commentary, actually it is very clearly explained. So maybe in the future you can read about that commentary.
尽未来期都要守戒的。那凡是能够多思维这方面，或者是多思维守戒是非常有益的，应该这样做。Lama
So some lamas say that once you have taken a vow and then you lose it, that that's a great danger. So then it's better not to even take the vow. Rinpoche says that's a big mistake actually. If you don't take, even if you don't take a vow, if you engage in negative action, it's still you will go to hell. But actually, it is said that it's better to take a vow and break it than to never take the vow, because if you break a vow and break it, then you will confess that vow, and then it is better. But if you have not taken a vow, you will not confess it. So then you will never confess it. There is no regret. For example, there are some people who have a sickness and they have a surgery and then they are better, and that is because in a previous life they have performed confession. And then there is others that no one can help them out of their difficulties, and that is because they have not confessed in previous lives. Even the Buddha himself cannot help those beings if they have never confessed. But if you have taken a vow, then you will confess.
比起受戒之后破戒，那个不受戒还是更糟的。因为你如果在没有受戒的情况之下去造业，不管你今天受不受戒，造业都是会承受恶果的。那这样子承受恶果的时候，如果是一个没有受过戒律的人，他的那个业报本来就会承受的，不会因为你没受戒他就不承受。然后如果说经典当中也有提到的，比起受戒之后戒律衰损，那么不受戒所造的罪业更加的严重。因为业力易受果报，成熟的时候是完全不可逆的，它要成熟的就是会成熟。那么如果你能够在受戒的情况之下，以受戒的功德的话，可以转变一些恶业，或者说使所造的善会比较大。那这样子的话，像有些人他们在得到了一些比较难解的疾病之后，后来能够康复痊愈，一方面也是因为过去曾经受戒的功德所致的，所以与其会担心破戒而不受戒，最好还是受戒，这是比较好的。因为如果受戒以后犯来戒律还是可以忏悔，如果最严重的就是犯来戒律，但是他不愿意忏悔、不愿意改的话，那这样的话是佛陀也很难挽救他的。
So if you have an indifferent motivation when you take the Nyen-ne vows, but then is there still a result of fruition? There still is a fruition to that extent. For example, even if you're a bird has experienced benefits, but then however long you take the vow, and so on, however long you're able to take a vow, depends on your motivation too. According to Mahayana, for the benefit of others, you can take any kind of vow. You can take it for a very long time, and again you can restore it if you break it. But if you do something just for your own benefit, out of fear from falling into the lower realms, so then according to the Pratimoksha, it is said it is difficult to confess them, to purify them. The difference is really within, between the Mahayana and the greater and the lesser vehicle. So you can also read about that in that commentary.
有没有真正得戒，完全取决于自己的心态，自己心里面到底怎么想的。比方说，你是否有守护戒律的心，是否有得戒的心，还有为了什么来受戒，这才是最关键的。比方说，这个戒到底是属于大乘戒或者小乘戒，也是取决于你当初是为什么要受这个戒。例如，你今天是为了其他众生的利益而发愿受戒的话，这后来所受的戒，从形式上来讲，就什么样的戒，它都能够成为时间较长的随顺大乘的戒。可是如果今天相对的你在受戒的时候，只是为了要救护自己免于三恶道的苦，那这样子的小的心量所受的戒呢，就不会超过别人戒的范围。所以自己的心态完全决定了所受的戒的性质。就是东方堂天美国那边
So if you have a vow and practice any kind of virtue, then this virtue becomes even more beneficial. But then if you only, but the Nyen-ne vow is only for one day, and tomorrow we don't have this vow anymore. It's just for one day. So then do we still have a great benefit? So the Nyen-ne vows, there's all kinds of different vows. Once you have taken the refuge vow, actually the benefits increase already. And the refuge vow really stays with you until you attain enlightenment, because all the benefits really come from the refuge vow. And then together with that, there's those vows that you can keep on an ongoing basis, and so you can take those vows for a shorter time, such as the Nyen-ne vows, but the benefits will still arise, because the main vow to take is the refuge vow. When you take any of these short-term vows and you read the sadhana that goes along with it, even if you don't have any of those vows, for example, in the Jigongkage lineage, in the Bodhisattva vows, there's this vow where we say, and until, from now onward, until I attain enlightenment or until death, I will practice body, speech, and mind, virtuous body, speech, and mind. And actually, all the vows are included within that. So in the Jigongkage refuge vow, in the beginning, that is included in the beginning. So until I attain enlightenment or until I die, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. And that actually, those 3 lines in the opening prayers, really actually, the last one refers to the Sojong vows. I'm a friend that I saw as a sangha before, and so then he took this vow to take a Nyen-ne vows, but then he took this vow and he fell unconscious. Then he didn't do it again. So this falling unconscious is once you have taken, first you want to take the vow, but then in the future, in future lifetimes, from lifetime to lifetime, the result will still ripen. So the benefit of having received the vow is still remains. When you fall unconscious, you just become free of thoughts, free of consciousness. But anyways, later you die. For example, until I attain enlightenment, I'm taking those vows. So then when you pass unconscious and you fall into the death, then you will still attain, the benefits will still remain until attaining enlightenment. But anyways, this person said that the person kind of feels that he doesn't want to take the vow again because he's scared of taking the vow. So then in this case, you actually, the vow becomes empty. You lose the vow. It's not necessarily a fault, but then the continuum of merit later on will become interrupted.
这里有个法友讲的说，他先前在其他的老师那边承诺每4个月要收一次，然后结婚后就没有打算这样做，这样有没有过失？我觉得说没有什么太大的过失，主要是因为没有受戒，将来不再受戒，对这一方面得到获得的压力跟就断掉了后的斋戒而得到获得的。
For example, if you say, I don't want to be a citizen of this country, and you don't break the law, that's good, but you still don't have citizenship rights. So it's similar to that. Some people, after they have taken a vow, then they meet certain condition and they can't keep that vow, or something happens and they can't keep the vow, but they don't. But they didn't really break the vow. So basically, what can you do then? If it's just a small transgression, then you can confess. And if it is just, I guess the question is, are you allowed to give up the Nyen-ne vows if you kind of change your mind? So you can offer the vow back to the 3 jewels. Any kind of vow, there is a tradition of you can offer them back. Take the vows at home on your own by yourself, and you have to read the Nyen-ne Sadhana as well. If you read the Sadhana, it's good. There's many benefits, but what's most important, you observe those vows and just recite the Mani mantra and apply this verse of I will apply my body, speech, and mind towards you. But of course, it's of greater benefit if you do recite the Nyen-ne Sadhana if you take those vows.
用戒法本，因为法本跟这个戒本是2个东西。那么你如果能够念成就法，念法本当然是很好。如果不行的话，就是用戒本受戒以后去守护今天所说的斋戒，然后念诵对法门咒放在里面是可以的。当然，如果你能够修完整的成就法法门，功德也是很大的。
So we have to take the Nyen-ne vows generally before sunrise, before 9 o'clock actually. But do we still receive it now? We're taking the vow after 9 a.m. because we took the vow later after 9. Supposedly you have to take it before sunrise. Rinpoche says you can take it the vow at any time. Whenever you take it, you receive it. And the point is that you want to receive the vow. So you pray to the Buddha, and you can take the vow on your own at any time in front of a support. So for example, an image of the Buddha like this one here in this book, so you think, now I'm taking the vow in the presence of this image.
话，一定会有相应的利益不会不得见。
Practice a Nyen-ne, you recite the sadhana, we have to prostrate. If you're able to prostrate, then that's good. That's a physical prostration has many benefits, but there is prostration of body, speech, and mind, and the greatest benefit of these is the prostration of the mind. And faith in the Buddha is the mental prostration, and the recitation is the verbal prostration, and the physical prostration is the third. And if you can, you do it, and if not, you can also, for example, spin a prayer wheel as the same benefit, or any kind of virtuous activity you do with your body. Everything becomes virtuous. For example, if you just move the beads on your mala, it becomes like a prostration. But if you physically actually can't, then you don't have to force yourself. So please introduce these objects here. So here this is a wristband. The benefits actually on the sticker, the liberation by seeing, and then there's also the white Tara mantra for long life, and inside you have the liberation by touching. For example, if an animal dies and it has been touched with the liberation by touch mantra, it will be born in the God realm and then in the future take birth as a human and finally attain liberation. So that is liberation by seeing and touching, and then this mala has been blessed by the Nyen-ne retreat. And so actually a mala is like an encouragement for you to practice virtue. Whenever you see it, it reminds you, whenever you have time, to recite a few Om Mani Padme Hum mantra. And so a mala is actually a great encouragement for your practice. And if it touches your body, it is like the deity touching your body. So actually it's also a great protection. It supports your mindfulness. It's very important. So you receive that as a gift today. So please all treat these objects as very precious. practice a sadhana on your own at home and you keep a vow, so is it, if you have no dharma, for example, what can you use? So Rinpoche says you can use a fruit or some nuts or any kind of food that you have, and you offer it to the deity, and later you can actually eat it yourself, or you can also offer it to an animal to eat.
在家里修仪轨的时候，会用柿子，会用什么饭地，会用水果或者是地可以找到的那些食品作为替代物，在供完以后自己也可以食用，或者是拿去分给其他的动物昆虫吃。
In the Sadhana it says from Chinavesic, heart's light radiates and radiates into the 10 directions. What's the meaning of this? So the light rays are compassion for sentient beings. So the light rays coming from the heart of yourself is Chinavesic. First of all, are rays of devotion. The greater your devotion, the stronger the light, and also compassion for sentient beings. So in brief, love and compassion is connected to your mind. That's how that light is connected to your mind. Even an animal, for example, if you love them, then they will follow you around like a dog. You don't need a leash, actually. They will follow you naturally if you love them. And so the more compassion others have, the more afflictions will become destroyed. And the more love arises, the more you realize how you're connected to sentient beings and how there's no separation between you and others. The essence of Chinavesic is great compassion. There is no more self-grasping. And this is what we call great, unobjectified, unconditional compassion that realizes the non-duality of self and others, which is the mind having become just like space.
在爬文当中提到，观音菩萨心间放光跟光芒收摄回来，观想上的意思是什么？这个代表着观世音菩萨代表着大悲心。自己的信心越强，光芒呢就会越强，这两者是相应的。然后呢，自己的悲心越强，就能够给众生带来的利益越大。观想光芒放射跟是我们的原因，是因为我们的心跟慈心跟悲心的功德是有连结的，就像是人跟其他的动物或者是小虫。彼此是有连接的，但从外表上来看，好像看不到这一层连接。那内在的连接就是我们的心跟本性在生理当中是相同的。所以，当我们的悲心越强的时候，我执就会越弱。观音的本性就是大悲的本性，所以当完全没有我执的时候，能够完全通达自发合二的情况，就能够真正证得究竟的大悲，那个就是如同虚空的真正的观音。
When we practice in a retreat like this, we have to keep a vow of silence. What's the benefit of that, the purpose? It is that if you talk a lot to people, you become distracted. So you see somebody and you think, oh, that's him, and they talk to them. Shamatha is to practice single-pointedness in order to realize the natural state of the mind. The mind will be clear, compassion arises, and the mind will become all pervasive. So first there is a single-pointedness that you cultivate. So shamatha or calm abiding is a method to realize the view of the natural state of the mind. It is said in the Mudra text that first you cultivate shamatha, and as a result of that you develop special insight into the nature of the mind. So basically it is observing silence is a skillful means to realize the nature of mind. Chinrisic sadhana in space in front of us, we visualize the wisdom being on a throne made of precious jewels and standing upright. And so how is it? Is it like this? So the wisdom being actually pervades the entire space like this. The Dharmakaya is like space, the Sambhogakaya is like a rainbow in the sky. So when actually there's no need for a throne or something like that, but it really is an example of the mind. Then the Nirmanakaya is like rain falling down. So for example, in this world, everyone who is engaging in activities to benefit others, for example, Dharma teachers are Nirmanakayas, or anyone who really engages in beneficial activities in the world or in the Dharma are Nirmanakayas, like Chinrisic. There are two kinds of Nirmanakayas, those who tame and those who are to be tamed. Nirmanakaya, an emanation, is on the outer level, on the inner level, the mind is like Chinrisic, and on the inner level, they appear as male and female, Buddhist or non-Buddhist. But everyone who possesses love and compassion and who engages in activities to benefit others in this world are all emanations of Nirmanakayas of Chinrisic. There's many people who can endure many hardships and work very hard for others. These are really emanations of Chinrisic, or those who females with great compassion are emanations of Tara. It's not just a name, it really is the truth according to the Vajrayana meaning. Everything in the 6 realms of samsara actually has the nature of a Nirmanakaya. To this sadhana, first we visualize some Chinrisic. And so then there is it 2 arms and 1 face. When you can visualize yourself in this way, and then there is the 1,000 arm, 1,000 eye Chinrisic. Of course, if you can visualize that, you do that. But all of these different elements represent a certain quality of Chinrisic's mind. But actually, I would also mention you can just visualize according to your own body with 2 faces, 1 face and 4 arms. But whether you visualize the form or not, what's most important is really to find his mind, which is a mind of love and compassion. Of course, there's many benefits of visualizing the form, but if there is no love, then there is not a great benefit. If you just have a wish to benefit everyone in this world, then that is much more beneficial than visualizing the form of Chinrisic clearly.
培养悲心，那你在这个形象观想上越清楚当然是越好。但如果说你今天观想很清楚，但却没有悲心的话，那也是无济于事。所以重点还是谁能够真正的去发起悲心，那个就是真正的观想明灯。然后他这边有个问题是在讲说，光佛灌顶的这个详细解说，可以参照对光背光的书里面162到171页的解说，我们在2年前有一些会有解释。
In our sadhana, there is the long Dharani mantra of Chinvesic. How should we visualize when we recite this mantra? So if you cannot recite the long mantra, you can just recite the Mani mantra. But the long mantra, there is some explanation, like the 100-syllable mantra for each word. For example, we have to purify all negativities and of all sentient beings and so forth. But actually, everything is complete within the 6 syllables of the Mani. The 6 paramitas are the essence of the 6 syllables. So you visualize the mind as Shri, and then around the Shri, the Om Mani Padme Hum mantra, and that is actually sufficient. The benefits of the longer mantra are all included within the Mani mantra. So then in the self-visualization, and then we have the after Vedic and the wisdom being in front, and that dissolves into us. So how is that? And so it belongs first of all to the action tantra. So when you still have a lot of self-grasping, the deity seems to be far away. And first cultivate some love and compassion, visualize the deity. So when there is strong self-grasping, you prostrate. So you prostrate with devotion to the wisdom being. But when great compassion has arisen within you, you become very close to the deity, and in the end you realize that you are actually indivisible from the deity, and you yourself become the great compassionate one, just like an ice block. First there's the action tantra, the ice block melts a little bit. When it has quite a bit melted, then it is a performance tantra. And then when you come to the highest yoga tantras, then the yoga and the anuttara yoga tantra, then the mind has become like an ocean water. So when self-grasping is still very strong, the deity seems to be far away, and then there's a need to respect the deity. So those who have a lot of self-grasping, they still have to melt this ice block with devotion and compassion. So for us then, with great self-grasping, we have to show great devotion to the deity. But regarding the dissolving of the wisdom being, is this order is necessary? It's hard to think if that you are Chinvesic if you have a lot of self-grasping. So now we think that in the action tantra we think that the deity is higher and very precious. So we think the deity comes, but the deity doesn't always stay in the mind. It's just like the warmth doesn't stay with the ice block. And so it is just something that we bring to mind. But once you really understand the nature of Buddha nature, then you don't actually need these kind of aspects of the practice, then you just visualize a small form of Chenrezig in your heart, which is the essence of loving kindness and compassion. The essence of Chenrezig is just that. So actually, the prostration and so on, all of this, according to the sadhana, belongs to the action tantra, but we practice according to our mental capacity. So if we think that if I don't prostrate, so Chenrezig is not good, and so that's why I have to prostrate, and then Chenrezig has departed, and so on. So from that kind of dualistic perspective, this is how we practice. Some people say that Chenrezig is a deity who makes offerings to the hungry spirits. It's also, there's some words similar to that in the Sadhana. That's from his body, like nectar flows that satisfies the suffering of the hungry spirits. So is it that the case? Can we see it as a deity like that? So in general, according to the Vajrayana, the 5 elements are all deities, and this is what we're really introduced to. Chenrezig's compassion clarifies the self-grasping of hungry spirits, which is too powerful. So they also become imbued with loving kindness and compassion. So the nectar and the mani pills that we eat, they're all connected to this, and these are all connected to loving kindness and compassion. In the end, everything comes down to one single meaning, and that is to eliminate self-grasping. Sadhana, it says that so from his hand a stream of nectar flows. So how should we visualize that there's this vase? Where is that vase? For example, on our hand we have 5 fingers, and these are also connected to the 5 afflictions, and when they ripen into the 5 wisdoms. So their nature, the nectar is a water of 5 wisdoms. So in brief, it is loving kindness and compassion. Within that, the 6 paramitas are complete. If you have love, you have generosity, you have ethical discipline, you have patience, you have meditation, you have wisdom, and so on. You have everything if you have love. You just only understand that it is connected to. You have the inner 5 afflictions, and on the outer level the 5 elements. Secretly, we have the 5 wisdoms. These are all connected to each other. When the 5 wisdoms are not ripened, then they are the 5 afflictions, and when these ripen, they are the 5 wisdoms. When sentient beings ripen, they become Buddhas, like a seed ripening into a flower. So this is how this needs to be understood. You have to visualize the vase. So if you have a vase, you can use it as a support and you visualize it, but you can just visualize rain falling down from the sky. Actually, that's really what happens. It really comes from the sky. Actually, the rain also is an emanation of Chinphysic. Beings sustain their lives on rain. The sadhana, there's a purification, a cleansing that we need to do for the deity. How does this purify our obscurations, our mental, our outer obscurations, our afflictive emotions? And how do we realize the nature beyond birth and death? So what's the whole reason behind it? So actually, if you don't, the deity has no obscurations, but when you cleanse the deity, it actually what you're purifying is not the deity's obscuration, but your own obscuration. So you're purifying the afflictive emotions in the minds of sentient beings. And the reason why we do it is because whatever we do has a result that is similar to the cause, an activity, an experience that is similar to the cause. It is because our mind and the Buddha's mind are not separate, actually. We are actually connected. It is just that our obscurations are not purified. So if you think washing the Buddha, then actually you are purifying your own afflictions, because ultimately you are not separate from the Buddhas. It's just like when you care for your own hand, then any of your fingers, that they are not separate from you, then you will be healthy. And then whatever you do, having devotion to higher beings and having compassion for sentient beings actually give it different names and so on, but all has the same essence, and that is these are all qualities that melt the ice block and actualize the qualities of your own Buddha nature, so they become revealed. So the more offerings that you make to the Buddhas, for example, in all future lifetimes you will, for example, find perfect wealth, and then ultimately you take birth in countless pure lands like Devachan and so forth. So all of these things are accomplished or created through the results of having made offerings. This is called the result that corresponds to the cross, and all of that is related to this practice as well. Some people, when they recite the Mani mantra, they say Om Mani Padme Hum, and others say Om Mani Padme Hum Shri. What's the difference with the Shri? There's a difference between the secret mantra and the Bodhisattva Yana, and also whether or not one has received an empowerment. But then once one has seen the ultimate truth, then one adds the Shri syllable. But in the context of the Bodhisattva Yana, the Om Mani Padme Hum is the essence of the 6 paramitas. But then in the end, even though we only say 6, the last mantra we always say Shri, which also refers to one's own Buddha nature. When you see the nature of the mind, that is what is represented by the Shri. Once you have received basically an empowerment, then you can add the Shri. But it's more about understanding the meaning. If you understand that Buddhas and sentient beings have a single basis of mind, then you can add the Shri. depends where you're at on the path. According to Pratimoksha and the Bodhisattva Yana, Mani Padme Hum, and according to the secret mantra, Mani Padme Hum Shrim. In the Vajrayana, you realize that self and others, samsara and nirvana are indivisible. That is what we call the secret mantra. At the end of the sadhana, there's a dissolution, and again, do we arise as a deity? So we do need to rise again as a deity. So you think, I am Chenrezig, remember Chenrezig, and what's the root of Chenrezig? It is loving kindness and compassion. That's his essence. And so in order to stabilize that, you remember Chenrezig again and again. Actually, if you only bring Chenrezig to mind, there's great benefits. Whichever deity you remember, there is no self in the moment. It is in your mind. So every time you wake up from sleeping, remember the Yidam deity. It doesn't matter which deity it is. The moment you think of the deity, the self is absent. When there is no self, actually all karmas and imprints are within the self-grasping. All the obscurations is beginningless time and samsara. It's just this thought of me and I, like I have slept or I have died, I do this, I do that, I'm happy or I'm sad. This thought, a sense of self, rain falls on like rainfall falling down. And when there's a sense of a self, then there is a mother. And so throughout the 6th time of the day, remember the deity like Chenrezig. Every time you remember the deity or remember the mantra, then the obscurations are being purified. Whenever you remember samsaric things, you create more impure karmic imprints. That's the difference. Every time you wake up, remember Chenrezig, and every time you remember Chenrezig, there's for example, a great benefit. Even, for example, that's also your best protection. It said the best protection is sphere is bodhicitta, and that is when, so for example, when somebody wants to curse you or harm you, and the moment you remember the deity, nobody can harm you in that moment. No sorcery and no spell can harm you. Often is a new Buddhist, so they have not gained any experience with Buddhism, and they come to the Nyen-ne retreat kind of naturally, and they just want to come and join. So this happens. Why does this happen? And then they cried. They felt really moved. This is crying is actually a very good thing. Sometimes when we're happy we cry. Sometimes when we are sad we cry. There's a feeling arising in the mind. So together with the tears we purify obscurations. Whenever you cultivate devotion to higher beings like Chenrezig, and then what appears in your mind is love and compassion. For example, if a person with great love appears next to you, you cry. That's a very precious thing because it's a good imprint from previous life, and it purifies many obscurations. It is said that one tear with devotion purifies the obscurations accumulated in many eons. So every time you remember the qualities of a Buddha, tears come. So every time a tear flows, or you think about a guru that is very precious, and tears flow from your eyes. So this is what we call devotion, or when you feel compassion for sentient beings, you cry. It's actually a sign of wisdom and intelligence. It's because in a previous life you have habituated to bodhicitta. If you have an altruistic mind, there is wisdom, and when there is wisdom awareness, you will recognize the suffering of others. It is a sign of having already habituated to bodhicitta in previous lives, and that's really an excellent sign. So the tree is the seed of Chenrezig, but then there is there is Hong. What's the difference? Actually, Hong and tree have the same essence. Hong, the main aspect is emptiness, and all the Buddha's mind gathers in Hong. But tree is more related to compassion, but it's just a different sound. If you really understand it, the meaning is very significant. If you just visualize the Hong, it's actually enough. All the deities possess Oma Hong, and ultimately it gathers all in Hong, which is the mind of all the Buddhas. Even if you have 100,000 deities, they all gather within the Hong. That's the most precious syllable. If you visualize Hong, then you practice all the deities. That is why on our T-shirts, for example, we are printing the Hong and so on. Because when you see it, when you remember it, the dualistic grasping of self and other will naturally disappear. All the Buddhas, body, speech, and mind. Most important and most precious is the mind of all the Buddhas. And what is the mind? It is non-dual primordial wisdom. So naturally, when you say Hong, then naturally there is no thought of self and other in this moment, momentarily, and in that moment you are able to see directly the natural state of the mind. So the Hong is really very powerful. other example, there are three. So the Sangha and the Buddha is Hung, then the Dharma is the sun, and the Sangha is the moon. So actually, the Hung also represents the Dharmakaya of all the Buddhas. And the Dharmakaya possesses love and compassion. So the sun is the Nirmanakaya, and the moon is the Nirmanakaya. So the three jewels and the three kayas actually have a strong connection to each other. Because generally the sun, moon, and the Hung, actually all the deities have that. They have a sun and moon disk and a Hung. If you would explain that extensively, you can see the great benefits of visualizing that just once. Actually, the benefits are the same of this entire long Dharani mantra. It's not just a Trikunkaya logo. It actually has a great meaning. It represents the three kayas on the resultant level. It represents the three kayas. And then on the path, it represents the three roads. So the 9 jewels actually represented by the Hung, by the sun, moon, and the Hung. So actually, one can explain that very extensively in a very meaningful way. For example, when somebody dies, or somebody you love, like your parents or somebody else, so then we represent them, for them, we practice virtue, such as this practice, and will they receive the benefits of this practice? And Buddha says, of course they receive it, because the basis of our mind is connected, we are one, and basically what they receive is love. So the Buddha provided a skillful means to benefit them. If you have love for a sentient being, a certain person, and you take this compassion, and then this connects naturally to that being. So, for example, whatever Yidam deity you have, you think of that Yidam deity. The Yidam has great love. So, first you think about that person, then you think of the Yidam deity. So you should not always think about that person, seeing them in an ordinary way, because then you develop ordinary thoughts like this is my friend and this is my enemy and so on. This is harmful again. So first you think of the person with love, and then immediately think of any Yidam deity. For example, tens and thousands of people request prayers from me and ask me to protect people, and that's how I protect them, is by thinking of the deities as Chinrezig, and in this way millions and billions of beings can benefit from that. If I think only of this particular person, then actually I can't really help them. Often I could even be harmful. So it doesn't matter who it is, a person who is alive or a person who has died, we can benefit them in the same way. For example, if a mother loves her child, if she is too attached to her child, she harms the child. But if she thinks of Chinrezig or the Yidam deity, then both benefit, the mother and the child. That's an important point.
些人会希望我能够帮他们做就是加持的这些事情，但实际上，如果我们一直想的是人，我们把观念仅系在人上面的话，能够产生到利益就比较小。可如果我们想的常常心里面想的是本根，而不是去想人我的分别，繁庸的人的这种概念的话，我们把这种繁庸的人的概念放在一边，不去想这些事情，不断的去想本根，不断的去想实在的价值的话，那么数以上千万上亿的这些观音的，就是能够真正的饶益有情众生，这样的利益是比较大的。就像比方说处理亲子关系的时候呢，如果一直只是卡在那个人跟人之间的互动的问题的话，问题会一直纠结的。那如果一直想着的，就比方说一念之间父母的话，就能够从他的对立当中跳脱出来，那么这是比较有益。
That's the end of the questions. So Rinpoche is saying that now we completed many questions, but ultimately there is just one point, and that is if you just remember one single Yidam deity, then actually it's like remembering all of the Yidams. If you just think of the Hung, for example, it is like meditating on all the Yidams, and the essence of Hung is love, so never separate from that. The Buddha said that all sentient beings are actually Buddhas. Beings are only obscured by temporary stains, and this temporary stain is just self-grasping, and it is purified with love and compassion. So all deities have their essence in love and compassion. Love, compassion, and patience needs to protect our love and compassion. And so in particular now here many Sangha members came, and disciples came from all over the place, and I'm very grateful for that. And I'm also grateful to the benefactor. It was really due to their hard work. Their mind really is like Chinvizic, and that is why they're able to endure all these hardships and work so hard. All of them and people in the world who do good things for people that benefit others. If they're male, they're Chinvizic, and if they're female, then they are Taram. So in this way, if we see it this way, then we will have no biased views. It doesn't matter what religion they belong to. Everyone who is engaging in beneficial activities, whether in the Dharma or in the world, I want to say Dashidelek and thank you, and also I would like to say thank you for everyone following us on the live stream. Many Dashidelek and thank you. So before we couldn't do it together, but now we can do it together, and you actually were here together with us, and you have received the same benefits. So you actually, this is what I'm doing myself. I also receive empowerment from different lamas over the live stream or the TV, and you actually can receive those vows and empowerment in this way. So please remember this. So please, it's important that you all get along, that you have patience for each other. Dashidele for everyone. May you be happy in this life, and I pray that in future lifetimes we will meet again and again. Many prayers and Dashidelek. mandala offering. long, long life prayer of Rinpoche.
开始，我们一起唱大悲咒好吗？来，今天好，来，我们一起唱，一起唱。还有
面的阿丽娜跟喇嘛可以站起来，对，只有第一排的仁波切他们坐着，然后其他的喇嘛跟阿丽娜都是站起来，对，然后前面不要挡到后面，后面的可以来往前一点。好，请后面阿丽娜往前，可以往中间，往中间，可以了吗？可以了吗？中间对 ，OK。如果旁边也可以站人，没关系，往前，往前，往前。坐着坐着没关系。好，大家开心不开心啊？加起的嘞。咒语先小声一点，我们赶快拍个照，还有大合照。好，等一下，接啦，然后呢 ，ready？ 好，等一下我喊1、2、3，大家可以开心一点，好 ，OK，ready？OK，1、2、3。
我们现在呢，就是最圆满的时候，大合照，我们今天的小孩子师兄跟我们合照。不要请人不切了，那个音乐先小声一点，麻烦一下，谢谢。好，等一下我们拍大合照，音乐小声一点。好，我们等一下拍大合照，然后我们会请仁波切，我们就直接下来到最后一排，我们要从楼上往下拍，才能全部都有。对，然后就所有仁波切，僧众，全部阿弥娜全部我们就往前面，然后在下面的第一排，然后所有人等一下就站起来往后面看，对，然后会再调位置，大家再听我告诉大家。好，然后最后这3排麻烦一下，最后这3排先起来，然后我们往后面走啦，因为这个僧众要在这边，好，不好意思，我们先到走廊这边，然后僧众会在前面这里。好，等一下，先去楼上。然后志工引导一下外面大厅的法友也进来里面拍大合照。来，志工也进去，大合照。
第一排是人迫切，其他法友请让一下哦，好，麻烦一下。好，人迫切的位置就是第一排，人迫切的位置就是第一排。来，在人迫切前面的拍不到，所以你们赶快往旁边去。人迫切前面的拍不到，你们赶快往旁边都，对，两边走廊都可以站人哦。对对对。然后人迫切旁边这一排要撤掉，这边拉玛跟就其他几位拉玛跟僧众都来第一排。那个于大哥帮忙一下哦，然后后面的拉玛要往前补。来，我们后面拉玛也来前面，前两排就是拉玛跟阿米娜。来，前面第一排、第二排留给那个仁波切跟拉玛。不好意思哦，我们第一排位置留给仁波切跟拉玛。好，没关系。那个于大哥。让人迫切往前就排好了，然后其他僧众就补进来。好，先原地不动哈。来，我们请其他人先原地不动，我们先请僧众跟拉玛来前面。来，我们请所有僧众跟拉玛来前面。来，那个我们请旁边位置让一下，先让僧众来前面。那个椅子可以先撤掉，等一下都是站着的，椅子直接拿掉。等一下，先把椅子拿掉，比较好出入。来，我们椅子先撤到旁边。都直接往后面，不要再，我们直接往后面了哈。来，我们两边都拍得到。第一排后面几个都拍不到了，赶快往后面。旁边拍不进来，快点。对，左边都拍不到，那位红外套的师姐，你的旁边都拍不到了，赶快往后面找位置。你里面第三位那边，请他举手一下，我看有没有在后面。来，第三位拉玛。对，请他举手，我要看一下有没有在画面。好，我看一下啊。大概看一下。请拉玛最后一排。对，大概看一下。就来前面就好了，看不到拉玛来前面，蹲着没关系，还来蹲着。蹲到仁波切前面来，看一下。好。然后那个，好了，不要再前面一排就好。然后那个可以慢慢来，刚刚有没有？好，好 ，OK， 来，这边。对，拍不到。来，师兄，你那边都拍不到，我这个角度过去都拍不到，快点往后面。来，赶快哦，不要耽误仁波切师兄，赶快！我说这边的拍不到，你们就赶快往后面。来，那个阿嬷，那边拍不到，你也拍不到，往后，那边没有，赶快往后，快点，阿嬷赶快往后，不然快拍不到，谁帮忙协助一下？往后带，后面的师姐也往后，好。师姐那边会 切到换个头要去后面一点。对，就是对对对。那阿妈还是看不到。来吧，阿妈，请阿妈后背，不然那边真的看不到。好，然后左边哦，调一下。等一下，左边你看不到，来，通通没有，快往后。在我的手背。快点，然后去后面，快点，来，赶快往后面，快点来，往后面哦，来，赶快，往后面都拍得到，快点，往后面就可以。对，那边可以，好，只要那边后面的通通可以，来，赶快进去，快。那个伊娜后退一点，伊娜干脆站起来，伊娜站起来会比较明显一点。然后这一位是哪一位？不要在身众旁边，不要在身众旁边坐在一起，快点，旁边。这里是身众区。